Which Sunbelt West coaches are championship level and which ones are on the clock? Locked on Sunbelt.
You are Locked on Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Locked on Sunbelt, your teams every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Hopefully you had a good weekend. All right, over the next couple of days, going to rank each division's coaches in the Sunbelt. And as you guys know, I'm very good at talking out of both sides of my mouth, so I'm going to do that a lot over the next couple of days, because just because where I rank them does not necessarily mean what I think of them. It's mostly going to be based on results. Sort of, all right? And there's some that can go either way. And it even starts off with our first one. So we have three categories: on the clock, established, and championship level. All right? So let's start off with the first one. And again, it's a tough one in the Sun Belt West. But number 7, I got Major Applewhite. Having said that, I think he did a pretty good job a couple of years ago. He lost his starting QB after, his starting QB got hurt right away. They had an up and down season. He got hurt to where he wasn't playing in the bowl game. His running back opted out and his wide receiver opted out, and they still won the bowl game. Said quarterback, Gio Lopez, was coming back. Went to spring ball, played through spring ball, got the bag from Belichick at North Carolina. He left. I don't want to say they were stuck with Bishop Davenport because he was okay. He statistically played pretty well. But obviously they did not have a good year, and there are some reasons for that, right? You guys know I'm a reasons versus excuses guy. Those are reasons, all right? And however, though, Major Applewhite's going to be on the clock only because what he was left with, and the cover was a little bit bare, but Kane Wommack had lifted the program up, right? Just a few years ago, they won 10 ball games. Came back the next year. I still don't know what happened. They still won a bowl game at home, their first bowl victory. Then they won another bowl game under Major Applewhite, and they dropped to 4-8 last year. And it just wasn't good. They have a pretty winnable schedule this season. And again, a crazy tweener game there. It's going to be challenging, obviously, against Kentucky. But Kentucky's coming off Alabama, A&M, and Mississippi State the week after. So Kentucky's going to be desperate for a win. Don't think that's not going to be the case. But Major Applewhite and South Alabama are going to have that advantage of playing at 12:45 on the East Coast, 11:45 Mobile time, to where maybe the Kentucky fans aren't all lathered up. And that may be the week that Kentucky fans just say, we're taking the week off. So it's an opportunity for Major Applewhite. But someone's got to be number 7. And some of that is he wasn't able to build yet on what Kane Wommack had built up. He was part of that as well, right? Major Applewhite is going into his 6th season, right? Going into his 6th season at South Alabama. So he's 7th, and he's on the clock because Daniel McCarthy just became the new AD, and those are always things that you have to take into consideration. All right. Also on the clock, but probably not really, is going to be Bryant Vincent at ULM. And I think he's done a pretty good job with what they were at and what he's had to deal with over his 2 years. I mean, they were 5-1. They just needed one more victory, and they couldn't get it. They started out 3-1 last year, and they couldn't get another victory as well. And then he had to take on the AD job as well, as you had some turmoil in the administration. I say he's on the clock only because it's year 3, and he has 8 wins to his belt, and he's had a 6-game losing streak to end the season, or I guess a 6-game losing streak to end the season. My understanding is that there would be no math. And he is currently on an 8-game losing streak. Right? The reason he's probably not on the clock per se, outside of finishing 3-4-9 or something like that, again, ULM doesn't have the money, right? That's part of it. That's got to be part of the equation. You'd have to pay Vincent, and you'd have to pay the new coaching staff. So maybe hold off on extending him until he does get it to that level to where we are competitive in the Sun Belt on a year in and year out basis. But right now, he's got to be considered on the clock. And again, I think he's done a pretty good job with what ULM has been recently. He is not the first coach to struggle at ULM. It is a tough job. S.J. Tui, the new young AD, has secured a little bag. He's gotten a little investment into the program. Still need people to show up to those ball games, football-wise, basketball-wise, baseball-wise, just to show that there's a little juice in the program. Now, it's the chicken and the egg, which comes first, right? You got to win to get those fans to come back. And let's just check out ULM's schedule to begin with. I'm sure we have done this somewhere along the way, but let's see what you got. You're starting out with Mississippi State. That's rough, and we have done this before. Can you get a win at UAB? And then you get Southeastern and FAU. I mean, you really can't be any worse than 2-2. But could you be 3-1? Can you pick off UAB? You got an experienced quarterback coming back. You get Southeastern and FAU coming in. You're at South Alabama, so that will take us a loss just because it's on the road. And then you got La Tech. So you can be anywhere from 3-3 to begin the season. Could you be 4-2? And where do we get a couple of more wins moving forward? At Troy is going to be tough. Southern Miss should be a win at home. You're at Arkansas State. Get the Cajuns at home. And again, it's at App. That's a tough place to play. You get Marshall at home. They're going to be a very tough football team this year. So somewhere along the way, where do you get 2 more wins? Troy, Southern Miss, Arkansas State, Cajuns, App, and Marshall. And that is if you can start off the season 4-2, beating UAB, beating Southeastern, beating FAU, and beating La Tech. That's a big assumption, but that's kind of where we are with Bryant Vincent and ULM. You do have to, eventually you have to show some progress. And where there has been improvement, and that is progress in its own right, you need to be able to say, we're bowl bound, we're competing, we're getting multiple wins per year in the Sun Belt, and they haven't been able to do that. So we'll see where we are heading into year number 3 with Bryant Vincent. All right. Now, who are the coaches that are established-ish? We'll do that when we come back after I tell you about Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place. Odoo is one platform to manage, grow, and scale your business. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. And that's, you can say that for any of these football teams. By the end of the year, they all tell you the team came together. They're all pulling the rope in the same direction. It's always the same thing, but that's usually what the coaches tell you on how the team came together to win. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. And Poncho. Let me tell you about Poncho. If you're like me and you basically live in game day gear during football season, you're going to want to check out Poncho's new game day collection. It's one of those things where it's a performance shirt, but it doesn't look like a performance shirt. Just looks clean, sharp, and something you'd like to actually want to wear all day. Plus, you get to rep your team in style. That's the best part. It's built for real life. Super lightweight, breathable, and comfortable. enough that you can throw it on for a full day of tailgating, sitting in the stadium, or just hanging out watching the game with friends without ever feeling like you need to change. And that's what I really like, that you're not stuck with one-size-fits-all situation either. You can dial in with a fit with regular, slim, or tall, plus short or long sleeves. And if you grab your shirt through September 7th, you're covered by Poncho's Natty Back Guarantee. If your team wins a college football national championship, Poncho will give you a full refund on your purchase, plus you get to keep the shirt. And let me tell you, noticed somebody on a tour just this past week actually talking about the podcast, and when you know it, he was wearing a Poncho shirt. The shirt looked so cool, I didn't even notice it until I saw the logo tag on the shirt. Go to ponchooutdoors.com/lockedon and enter your email to get $10 off and free shipping on your first order. That's PONCHO outdoors.com/lockedon. Head there, drop in your email, and get $10 off and free shipping. And once you try one, you won't stop. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let me tell you, that was a good weekend. And Saturday was something special for one reason, mostly bourbon. And Sunday was for another reason. Slept 9 hours. Can't tell you the last time I slept 9 hours. That may have had to do with the bourbon. Cleaned up. I was doing laundry when I went back out. It's all folded, all put away. Getting a couple episodes done early. Already working on the fantasy draft. That's later today, but the episodes are done, so I don't have to worry about that. We got another idea for Wednesday. That's done as well. So it just was a really good weekend. All right, let's talk about established coaches ish. All right. Because, well, we'll just talk about it. All right. We got Sonny Cumbie. I'll be the first to tell you we don't know a whole lot about Sonny Cumbie. Did win at La Tech last year, had a really good defense, but that's his first winning season. All right. I can't imagine if they struggle in the Sun Belt, and we'll just say they go to a bowl game, 6 games. Well, we'll one less. No one's getting fired going to a bowl game. Usually. We'll say 5 and 7. All right. I don't think they're going to change what's going on there. Although wouldn't that be, isn't this this would be Sonny Cumbie's 5th season, right? And wouldn't that'd be 4 losing seasons in 5 years, right? And so that would be potential for being on the clock, all right? But he had a good season last year. And again, depending on how it happens, all right, if your quarterbacks get hurt or whatever the case may be. But if there are reasons versus excuses compared to, we had some bad weather ball games, we had some calls go against us, those are excuses. Injuries are reasons. That they are. They're just reasons. But I presume he's going to be able to compete in the Sun Belt. They'll have a good defense. I'm not sure it's going to be quite as good as it has been in the past, as Sun Belt teams tend to be more explosive. But we kind of feel like Sonny Cumbie is established. And if he has a good season this year, then he is established. If he wins 7, 8, 9 ball games or more this year, well, A, he could be gone. But B, then he is technically established back-to-back winning seasons. All right. And building it up over the, before that. And now La Tech is reaping the benefits of those efforts. All right. Also established is Butch Jones. I think he's done a good job. He has methodically built the program, which is not something that you do these days, but he has. He had 2 really good recruiting classes. He found his quarterback and ended up going to a bowl game, losing, went to another bowl game, winning, and I think he won his bowl game last year. They did win the bowl game last year, ironically, against Missouri State, whose head coach wasn't coaching that ball game, but Butch Jones did have his quarterback, Jalen Rayner, before he left to go, I believe, to Iowa State and in the transfer portal. But I think Butch has done a good job. All right, so he's established. He's not quite at that championship level. They did have an opportunity last year. Let me see which ball game it was, because they were in the thick of things after they beat Troy on November 1st. They were right there. But then they proceeded to lose to Southern Miss after Southern Miss had started going the wrong direction. And then they lost to the Cajuns at home. They did beat App State 30 to 29 in lovely Boone, North Carolina. Arkansas State came up with some huge stops in that ball game, holding App State to 5 field goals. They scored 29 points, had some 450 yards or something like that, 453 yards, and gave up only 2 touchdowns. They won it by 1 because App State kept on kicking field goals instead of putting in touchdowns. So I happen to think Butch Jones is established. All right. Also established is my guy, Mike Desormeaux with the Cajuns. Money is going to play a part of that. They are going to get a new AD. That hasn't been named yet, as far as I know. But he's the hometown kid, coaching at his hometown school, coaching at the school that he played for, competed for Sun Belt Championship, hosted the Sun Belt Championship game a couple of years ago when he was playing with his second-string quarterback, got him there, and then his third and fourth-string guys played in that ball game. And then I think last year was his best coaching job he's done. They bring in Lunch Winfield. They have a huge comeback and win in double overtime against Marshall, but lose the next 3 ball games because they were playing some tough games. But then they won 4 straight at the end of the year to go bowl. They did lose that ball game to Delaware, but he did a great job last year. So he keeps his team competitive. Did play for a championship. Not as consistent in that thing. He's always going to a bowl game. Again, this is the golden age of Ragin Cajuns football. They have not been to a bowl game twice since 2011. I mean, how many teams since 2011 have only missed two bowl games? And I believe that was 15 and 17 under HUD. That's it. Now, he hasn't won a bowl game other than the game that he coached after Napier left, but he hasn't won a bowl game following one of his seasons. Team's already banged up this year. Receivers, linebacker, cornerback. Hopefully the offensive line and quarterback stay healthy. But as far as I'm concerned, Mike Desormeaux as established gets. He would have to win 10 ball games, like 3 years in a row, for people to start coming and knocking on his door and seeing if he wanted to leave. I don't think he is going to leave to go to another G6 school. Now, Power 4 school comes around, that would be a different issue. But I don't think he's leaving anytime soon. And I also think he would have to lose a couple of years in a row before they got rid of him. That is what I think. All right. So now we have done championship level. I'm sorry. We've done on the clock and established. All right. And again, I like Major Applewhite. He did a pretty good job his second year. He was dealt a tough hand. I'll try that again. Did a pretty good job in his first year. Dealt a tough hand for his second year. Right. Bryant Vincent, we've seen improvement from ULM. just can't finish. But those two guys probably need to do a little bit better, all right? The Sonny Cumbies of the world, he could be on that list because if he lost, it'd be 4 out of 5 years. But he's coming off a winning year, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Butch Jones keeps on improving. And Mike Desormeaux, again, the last 2 years have been his best 2. Playing for the Sun Belt Championship and railing the troops with his third-string quarterback to go to a bowl game. So I think that's pretty good. Now, after I tell you about FanDuel, we will tell you the championship-level coaches. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before your first pitch. There's certain players where every bat feels like it's something big could happen. That's what makes Daily Dingers fun. You get to back the player you think is ready to go deep that day. And isn't that a Ohtani or Schwarber day every day? So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. On Sunday, we got our 3,150th subscriber. I got 2 weeks. 2 weeks to get to 3,200. Can we do it? I need 25 this week and 25 next. Yeah, that's right. 25 this week and 25 next. You guys have been there before. All right. I know it's been a little shaky. People are starting school and vacations are still going on and ending and everyone's busy. Please tell people about the podcast and get them to subscribe. We want to reach that goal of 3,200. I'll even one up it before that Friday night ball game, Georgia State against North Carolina A&T. All right. That's that Friday night ball game. So we got less than 2 weeks to get to that. I think we can do it. I think we can. It's going to be tough, but everybody knows somebody who's a Sun Belt fan listening to this show and watching the show. All right. Hey guys, sign up your kids. All right. They're all on YouTube. Get them to press subscribe. All right. You can do it. Come on. All right. Who are I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you so much. Let's do the championship level. All right. And this is going to have nothing to do with, one's going to have nothing to do with this year and one's going to have everything to do with this year. Although, one has won championships and one hasn't. All right. So Blake Anderson. I think Blake Anderson's a very good football coach. This is not going to be a good year for Blake Anderson and Southern Miss. He told us that at Sunbelt Media Days. He reiterated it to the Southern Miss media. Scott Watkins quoted it that we are not a very good football team. This is going to be a developmental season. All right. But I still think he's a good coach. So don't be surprised if they pull off a couple of upsets and maybe compete for a bowl game. So this ranking has nothing to do with this season at Southern Miss. Southern Miss is going to be okay in a year or two. But he did a good job at Arkansas State up until when his wife got sick. All right. Did a good job at Utah State. And then he had to deal with issues off the field and then his son as well. So did ask him if he needs football or wants football. And he said both. You know, I do want it, but I kind of need it. Right. The way his brain works, the way all our brains work, right? That gives me a little bit of time not to think about everything else that's going on in my life or has gone on in my life. But I think they're in a good shape. And I think Blake Anderson is a championship level coach. I really do. And again, that will not reflect itself this year at Southern Miss. Right? Let's check out that Southern Miss schedule and see what it could look like really quickly, because it could get out of hand fast. Southern Miss football schedule. Let's see here. Elkhorn State. I mean, that could be a win. That should be a win. Then you're at Auburn. That's not going to be a win. Can you beat UConn right now? UConn actually has a pretty good coach, Jason Candle from Toledo. So, and Jim Mora Jr. actually did a pretty good job. So they have Connecticut at home. Can you start 2-1? Then you got the Will Hall Bowl in Tulane. Right. So are you starting, 1-3, 3-1, 2-2? Then you get Troy in Troy. That's going to be tough. Arkansas State's at home. You get the Cajuns at home. You get Monroe on the road. JMU is coming to town. You're at La Tech. South Alabama's at home, and then Old Dominion. Like, they are going to be struggling in that, a deal in the Sun Belt. Can you sweep Arkansas State and the Cajuns? If you split with that may not be bad, but you got to go to Monroe. You got JMU coming in. You're at La Tech, South Alabama's coming in, and then you're at Old Dominion. And, who knows what those teams health-wise are going to be at that point in time. But that is just not the easiest of all schedules. And the beginning is not necessarily easy as well, right? So Blake Anderson is a championship-level coach. It will not reflect its way this year. This will. Gerad Parker. I think he's done a fabulous job at Troy. All right. Cupboard was bare-ish when John Sumrall left. He was in his first time as a first-year head coach, and we talked about it back then. Forget about the light through the tunnel. They couldn't even see the tunnel, and they started doing a little bit better. They got close to Arkansas State. They reeled off some wins. It was a one-score game against the Cajuns in the fourth quarter before a couple of fourth-quarter scores, made it a blowout. Was facing 1-3 last year and rallies to beat Buffalo and is playing for the Sun Belt Championship ball game. Playing in the Sun Belt Championship ball game and right there with JMU in the fourth quarter until they put a couple of scores on the board. And I think they're going to win it this year. And I think he is a championship level coach. Not quite as quickly as John Sumrall, who won 2 championships in 2 years, as that ruins it for everybody, obviously. But I think he's done a great job with Troy. Troy has had a heck of a, year from 25 and 26, from playing in the Sun Belt Championship game to winning the Sun Belt Championship in basketball and going to the NCAA tournament for the second year in a row under Scott Cross, to rallying in the Sun Belt Conference tournament and making it all the way to Omaha and getting a win in Omaha. And I think Gerad Parker and Troy continue that by winning the Sun Belt Championship. I have them, Troy versus ODU in the Sun Belt Championship game, with Troy winning it, probably home field advantage. All right. But that's what I got. All right. So I think without having won the championship, I have Gerad Parker at my championship level as coach. I think he's the best coach in the West. All right. And there's arguments for everybody, right? He hasn't won a championship yet. Sonny Cumbie has one winning season since he's been there. Desormeaux has had one good season since he's been there. Bryant Vincent hasn't had a winning season since he's been there, although that's a real good reason to put you on the clock. So there are, again, we could talk out of both sides of my mouth, and I did that throughout this episode. But let me know what you guys think. I think the rankings are, fair. All right. Again, I like Major Applewhite more than most, to be honest with you, but he is coming off not a great year. They do have a new AD, but again, in our What If episode, what if Bishop Davenport is really good? What if they go into Lexington and beat Kentucky? There's a bunch of what ifs. But this is what I had for the West. All right. So let me know what you guys think. Again, please subscribe to Locked On Sunbelt. We can get 50 more subscribers before Georgia State kicks off against North Carolina A&T. It's an odd time. However, I think we're going to go live a lot this year after games. All right. Not necessarily when the late game is over, but we don't have to pick the late game to be over. That's okay. But I can go live after Georgia State ball game and still, make it into bed at a relatively good time. So, as you got to work the next day. So there's that. All right, but we can get that. We can get 50 subscribers in the next 2 weeks. That is not an insurmountable amount of people. Don't forget about subscribing to the Locked On audio podcast as well. Locked On Sunbelt audio podcast, Apple and Spotify. You can find it anywhere you get the podcast. And if you guys are interested in sponsorships, please let me know. Be glad to have you as sponsors. You see, we're getting new sponsors all the time. All right. Thank you for tuning in. We'll do the East coaches on Tuesday. Same thing. Championship level, established, and on the clock. Thanks again for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.